The Department of Justice has launched a civil rights investigation into the police shooting of Jacob Blake, the man who, I'm sure you know by now, was shot by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin on Sunday night. Witness video shows an officer grabbing Blake by the shirt as he leaned into his car and then firing 7 shots at his back as his 3 young kids sat in the vehicle. An attorney for the family said yesterday that Blake was still in critical condition, faced several more surgeries, and will likely never walk again.
Well, when you look at that video, that horrific video, where is the humanity?
The officer who shot him and another officer who was on the scene are now on administrative leave, but so far neither has been arrested or charged with a crime. Peaceful protests have been held in several cities in the days since, but on Tuesday night in Kenosha, as self-declared militia members and armed protesters faced off, 3 protesters were shot with an assault weapon, 2 of whom were killed. 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse has since been charged with first-degree murder in those shootings. But while many seemed ready to carry on with life as usual, afterwards, professional athletes put their foot down. First, the Milwaukee Bucks announced they would not play their Game 5 scheduled for last night. Then all 3 NBA games were postponed, along with 3 WNBA games, 3 MLB games, 5 MLS matches, and a major tennis tournament. NBA players also weighed a boycott that would end the season altogether, but decided today to continue on with the postseason, although today's games will not be played either, including what was supposed to be Game 1 between the Celtics and Raptors. I'm joined now by Gary Washburn, national NBA writer for the Boston Globe. Gary, thank you for being here.
Great to be here.
Let me start by noting that you are, in fact, in the bubble that the NBA has been running to keep players safe in this very unusual time that we're living in. Can you start by telling people who maybe aren't NBA fans, and I follow the league pretty closely just as a fan myself, but for people who aren't familiar with the NBA and the way it's interacted with the Black Lives Matter movement, social justice concerns this extended season, how does the NBA compare to other leagues in its approach?
I think it's well ahead of other leagues in terms of their statements and their reactions and their movements on social issues. The NBA is primarily an African-American league. And in that case, you have a lot of African-American men who have concerns about these social issues, police brutality, racism, many other issues that have plagued our country. So the NBA has kind of gone above and beyond and negotiated and allowed and encouraged these players to show, express their social opinions, putting Black Lives Matter on the basketball court here, allowing players to wear certain slogans on their jerseys as they play to get their message out. And there's been a number of press conferences down here in the bubble where players have just strictly talked about social issues. They've not talked about basketball or the upcoming game or how they're feeling or practice or whether they have a chance to win a championship. They've talked about Breonna Taylor and now most recently talk about Jacob Blake. They've talked about the issues that they're concerned about. So the NBA has worked with these players to be able to, give them a platform to where they can express themselves on, in a situation where this is the only sport going on right now. I mean, Major League Baseball is going on, but this was the first professional sport to resume, other than Major League Soccer, that has a major, American sport to resume. And so the world is watching.
Everything that you've just talked about, I think, suggests key background for why the players made the decisions they've made over the last couple of days. But what else led to them deciding they weren't going to play last night, the postponement of games today, but then also the decision to not end the season altogether, as we had heard some of them were considering doing?
I think it's a very complicated situation here. One, these guys are in a bubble, and they don't know the impact of these statements they've made in the outside world. They only look at their phones and see the Jacob Blake video and the video of the young man who had the machine gun who walked through several police before shooting 2 people, killing 2 people in Kenosha. They see that and they're saying to themselves, well, what are we doing here? Why are we here? Okay, are we just here to entertain folks and play ball and keep it on the floor and keep dribbling, or are our statements mean anything? And I think the Bucks being obviously an hour from Kenosha, there were some players who decided, you know what, maybe we need to do something a little stronger. The names on the back of the jerseys, the Black Lives Matter on the court, maybe that's just becoming like a slogan. Maybe that's becoming a trend. Maybe, to see, black people, white people, Asian people with Black Lives Matter, maybe that's something that's gonna wear out. Like, maybe we're just, kind of encouraging fashion here, as opposed to really getting a social statement across. And so I think the players reflected on that and thought, we don't want to play right now. Now, then it became when you had the players collectively meet and go, okay, what do we do with this? Do we cancel the season? Do we just go home back to our respective homes and end the season, which would have great financial repercussions for the league? It would probably ruin the relationship between the owners and the players, which is good right now, the best of in any professional sport. So the players last night had to discuss, okay, what are we going to do? What's our game plan? Okay, we've missed a day. What are we going to do? It's like a sick, we've walked out, we've sicked out, we said we weren't going to play. Are we going to negotiate some different conditions with the owners and demand that they take more action? And what I mean by more action is, meetings with politicians, having the owners use their wealth and power to make changes, and not only at the national level, but the local level and, the regional level. Will this lead to the Celtics, let's say, meeting with Governor Baker? We don't know. That could be an issue, something that could be done down the road. The players want to know that they're making an impact. And I think that a lot of players discussed that last night. Some players are ready to walk out. Other players are like, no, not so fast. Do you know what we're going to do here if we do that? So I think after a good night's sleep, a lot of the players who were willing to walk out said, you know what, we're here. We might as well finish this thing out. We've made the best of the situation. No positive tests. Everyone's healthy. The basketball has been high level. It's been very entertaining. Let's finish this off. Let's have discussions with the owners. Let's talk to these people, and then we can move forward with some serious change.
I want to ask you about the role that the Celtics' Jaylen Brown has played, because I've been reading a lot about comments that he's been making about social issues, about the player's own response. I think we have some video of him talking. Let's take a quick look.
Does America think that black people or people of color are uncivilized, savages, or naturally unjust? Are we products of the environments that we participate in? That's the question I would like to ask to America, and America has proven this answer over and over and over again. Are we not human beings? Is Jacob Blake not a human being?
Jaylen Brown, I believe, is just 23 years old. He has seemed like an incredibly cerebral guy ever since he came in the league. How important has he been among NBA players as this has all unfolded?
I think he's been one of the leaders. Ever since he's come into the league, as you said, he's been kind of a guy who has walked the beat of his own drum and been a real thinker and thought about not only playing basketball and being rich and all the things and the benefits that come with being a professional athlete, but also the world around him, his community. How does he affect his community? How can he help his community? How can he help fellow African Americans and all people? And so he has been one of the more outspoken people here in the bubble about his issues, urging not only, of course, justice for Breonna Taylor, but urging young people to register to vote. Obviously, they're the demographic that does not register to vote as much as people who are adults and seniors and et cetera. Urging his age to vote, and not only the national presidential election, but local elections. Make a difference in your community. And
Gary Washburn, unfortunately, we have to leave it there, but I wish we had about 30 more minutes because this is fascinating. I've got about 10 things I'd still like to ask you. Thank you for taking time to talk with us, and be safe down there.
Thank you.